Hi everyone, today we are going to go over the basics of Zoom. So on our agenda today, I'm going to show you how to access your Camden County College Zoom account. And I am going to go over the basics of setting up a Zoom meeting, show you how you can invite your students. There's several different ways that you can go about that. We'll look at running a meeting, so the interface, how the different tools work and the things that you can do within the meeting. And then we'll look at what to do with your recordings of your meetings and how to present them to your students in your course. So just to quickly go over Camden County College's expectations for synchronous sessions. The first thing is that they cannot be required. So you can't require your students to be logged in at any certain time. And because of that, you want to record your sessions so that those who are not able to join in a synchronous live session because of other commitments, work, kids, whatever else they have going on in their lives, can still access the information. The synchronous sessions should be a supplemental part of an online course. So they should not be the end-all be-all of the course. The entire course should not revolve around those synchronous sessions. The information that you're presenting should be available in other ways, other places, other formats. So this is going to be just a piece of the complete online course. And then we want as much as possible to make sure that our recordings are captioned to make sure that we are in compliance with ADA regulations. And so we'll look at some ways, really pretty much one way that we have that we can easily caption all of our recordings. So we'll start with accessing your Camden County College Zoom account. Now again, not everyone has this by default. This is something that you need to request, and your dean's office has final approval on whether or not that request is accepted. But once you are provided with your Zoom account, you can click on the My CCC portal just like you would to access Canvas and log in. And after your Zoom account is approved, you will see a Zoom icon in the quick launch area of the My CCC portal. You'll click on that and you'll need to click this Sign In button, and it will take you to your Camden County College Zoom account. Now, what I'm using today is the web-based Zoom platform. There's also a desktop client that you can download and use. However, it seems like the desktop client looks a little different depending on what type of operating system you have. So I'm just going to use the web-based version because it is more consistent. When you first click on your Zoom account, you will be taken to your profile, and you can, of course, add a picture, which I should really do. This information is pretty much all set by the CCC Zoom license, so your email should already be there. You'll have your license type set up. Your time zone will be in there. So the first thing I want to look at here is how to schedule a meeting. You'll see this Schedule a Meeting button up here at the top. You can click on that and set up your settings for a meeting. So I'm going to put a topic in here. Let's say I want to hold office hours. You can give a description if you would like. You're going to put in a date and time. Zoom does not hold you to this, so I could start a meeting early. I could go past the time, but this is just for information for your students so they know when the meeting is taking place. Again, the duration is not hard and fast either. You could go over the amount of time that you put for that. You could set up a recurring meeting. So if you wanted to maybe have your office hours every week on the same day and time, you could set that up, and then the students will just use that same Zoom link all semester or however often you're having that. So we could say it's going to be weekly, it's going to be once a week on Thursdays, and then you can set an end date. You could require registration. So the students will have to register beforehand, and then they will get an email that contains the link. You can set up a passcode, and you can also set a waiting room. So I will show you in just a minute where you can set your default settings that will be in place for all of your meetings, but you can always change these for an individual meeting if you would like. So the waiting room is going to be a place where your students will enter before the meeting starts. You'll be able to see who is in the waiting room, and you'll need to admit them when you're ready. This is a security setting so that you can make sure that there isn't anybody in the meeting that is not supposed to be there. And it gives you more control over who is actually accessing the meeting. I have my default set so that my video is set to off, and so it are my participants' video. You could change that as well. I usually recommend allowing both computer audio or telephone in case somebody is having audio issues. They can always call in instead of using their built-in speakers and microphone. Under meeting options, you've got some different options here. We won't go over all of them, but I do like to mute the participants upon entry. It kind of helps to cut down on the background noise. You can pre-assign breakout rooms. So if you wanted to, you could have a list of your students' email addresses, and you can actually import it with a CSV file, download the template. So basically there's going to be one column that has the name of the breakout room, and then the second column has the email address of the participant. So if you wanted to set that up ahead of time, you could do that. And then I usually like to go ahead and click to automatically record a meeting. You could always stop the recording if you would like. And then you also can choose where you would like the recording to be stored. So you can store it on your computer, or you can store it in the cloud where it will be stored for 2 weeks. So the example that I'm going to do today, I'm going to actually store it in the cloud. That way I can show you how to download it onto your computer, as well as how to send a link to students. So I'm going to go ahead and click save on my meeting. If at any time I needed to edit the meeting, I can always click on my meetings tab. I'll see a list of any meetings that I have coming up, and I can hover over the meeting and I can click start when I'm ready to start it. I can also edit any of the settings. I can delete the meeting if I need to from here as well. If you're looking where to set your default settings that are going to automatically be set for all of your Zoom meetings, that's going to be in this settings area here. So you'll see a lot of the same settings that are there for individual meetings, but this is just where you can set the ones that you want to have in place already for each meeting. So again, the waiting room, I have it turned on by default. There are a ton of settings here, so we're not going to go over all of them, but just know that you can go through the different topics for the types of settings are over here. So these have to do with scheduling a meeting. These are your security settings. You also have the settings for when you are in a meeting, the basic settings. One thing I do want to show quickly, because everyone always wants to know about this, under this in-meeting advanced settings is where you can turn on the virtual background. So a lot of people like to use that. Doesn't work on every computer, but you could always turn this on if you want to be able to use a virtual background in your meetings. So how am I going to share this meeting invitation with my students now that I have created it? I'm going to come back here to my meetings. I'm actually going to edit this meeting and remove the registration. I think most people aren't going to use a registration. So after I make a change, I just click save. So I removed the registration requirement. Now I'm going to share this with my students. So depending on what I want to do, I can copy the whole invitation if I'm wanting to maybe email it out, or if all I want to do is get the link directly to the meeting, which is what I'm going to do first, I can just copy the meeting link. And then within my course, I can actually just add the meeting link right to the module. So I'll click the plus sign within the module. From the drop-down menu, I'll select external URL, just paste the URL right there and give it a name. So I could just say Zoom office hours. Click add item, make sure that it's published. And now when my students are wanting to join the Zoom meeting, they can click on it and it will open up. Of course, I'm not going to actually open it here, but it will take them right to my Zoom meeting. So that's one way that you could do this. Another way to share this with students would be you could copy the whole invitation and you could add it to the calendar. So if I go to my course calendar, you could really just put the link in here as well. Let's say that I've got my Zoom meeting today. I'll just add it to the 26th actually. And I could say office hours, say what time it's running from. I don't even remember what time I said it was going to be, but we'll just say 2 to 3. And we'll put Zoom as our location. In your calendar, you're going to want to select the course that this is for. And then click More Options. It'll pull up a box here for you. Paste it in here. And then click Create Event. A couple of other options would be to just create a page with the Zoom information. Again, add it to the module where you need it to be. You could also create an announcement. Send it to the class in the inbox or regular email. So you have a lot of different options for how you want to share this Zoom meeting invitation with your students. So now we're going to go ahead and start our meeting. Again, I come to my Meetings tab in my Zoom account, hover over the meeting that I want to start, click Start. It's going to ask me if I want to open this with the Zoom app. So I'm going to mute myself here because my microphone is being used by my screencast software, but you would of course most likely want to make sure that your microphone is not muted, and you can mute or unmute just by clicking on the microphone icon in the lower left hand corner. If you want to check and make sure that you're using the microphone that you want to use, you can click on this little arrow. You may have multiple microphones like I do, the built-in one, and then I have an added one that I use. If you're not hearing something correctly or your students can't hear you, you may need to check this and make sure that you are using the right mic. You can also click on this audio settings area to test it out ahead of time. And with all of these things, I recommend before you use it for the first time, you will want to make sure you come in and just practice, kind of like what I'm just doing right now. So I'm not using my microphone. I'm not using my webcam right now, but if I wanted to, I could click on the Start Video button to start sharing my webcam. You can set up your security features ahead of time, but you can also change these while the meeting is underway. So at the top, you'll see you have your lock meeting feature. And that will allow you to lock the meeting after a certain point. So if you don't want any more participants to be able to join in the meeting, you can click that lock meeting option. You can enable or disable your waiting room from this security menu here. You may want to disallow students from sharing their screen by unchecking that option so that they can't share their own computers. You may not want them to be able to chat. By the way, it's unhappy with me because I am not using audio, and normally I wouldn't do that, so it's going to keep reminding me of that. You may also want to prevent students from being able to unmute themselves if you want to be able to control who can speak. So to view your participants, you click on the Participants button there, and you'll see a list of your participants over on the right hand side. Obviously, I am the only one in there right now, but when you have students, you'll see a list of who is in the meeting. You can mute, unmute individually. You can allow students individually to share their webcams And you also will see if there is a student who is talking, if you have the student's mics enabled, and one student has a lot of background noise, there's something disruptive going on, their name will show up at the top, and you'll be able to go ahead and just mute that individual student to prevent that background noise from occurring. The chat option, you can view what's going on in the chat by clicking on the chat button down at the bottom. And now we'll look at the share screen features. So if I click on share screen, I actually have multiple options here. So I can choose to just share one application that I am running. So if I only wanted my students to see a PowerPoint that I am showing without being able to see anything else that is on my computer, I could just select that one application that I want them to be able to see. And when I leave that application, they're not going to see anything else that's on my computer. However, if you are doing something like what I'm doing now, where I'm kind of moving between different screens and I want them to be able to see everything that I'm sharing, you will want instead to click that screen button, the first option that's listed there, because that's going to allow students to see your screen wherever you are, whatever it is that's up on your screen, they'll be able to see that. You also do have a whiteboard option. So if you wanted to just pull up a blank screen and use your stylus or use your mouse to write, you can do that, but you can also do that on a PowerPoint or whatever other screen you've got up as well. You have that annotating feature. One other important thing, if you're playing a video or you have something that you want your students to be able to hear on your computer, you need to make sure that you check that Share Computer sound box so that they can hear your computer audio. By default, it's unchecked, so make sure that you do check that if that's what you want to do. Here you have your recording tools to stop or start, and this is where you can set up breakout rooms once the meeting is underway. So you can set how many breakout rooms you want. You can either assign automatically or manually, or let the participants choose what room they would like to be in for the meeting. So I do want to go ahead and click Share Screen, just so I can show you what that's going to look like. You have some additional tools that will pop up. You can activate your annotation tools. There's a lot of different ways you can call attention or add notes to things that you're showing. So you could type text, you could draw, you could spotlight items, you can undo or redo your annotations, and you also can clear everything that you've put up there. And additionally, you can even save your annotations as a PDF or as an image file if you wanted to have a record of the annotations that you have created. You'll see up at the top that the menu will kind of shrink and come back up when you hover over it. You'll also have some other options under that More area. So again, here you can still control breakout rooms. You can disable annotation for others if you don't want them to have that option as well. And here's another place that you can share your computer's sound. When you're ready to stop sharing, you can click that Stop Share button at the top, and that will stop sharing your screen for your students. When you're ready to end the meeting altogether, you can click the End button, and you can either just leave the meeting and let it keep running, or you can end the meeting for everyone, which is what I'm going to do here. You'll review your recordings or get to your recordings by clicking on the Recordings tab within your Zoom account. As you can see right now, the one that I just did is processing. So we're going to let that process. And what I can do now is I have a couple of ways that I can share my recording with my students. So one way you could do this is just give them a link to the meeting, and if they will actually just access the meeting as it is stored in the Zoom cloud. Keep in mind again that these items are going to auto delete in 14 days. So they're only going to be stored in the cloud for 2 weeks. If it's something that you're going to want your students to have access to longer than that, then you may want to explore a different option that we'll get to in a minute. But for right now, let's just look at sharing this recording. So if I click share, I can come down here, I can turn on passcode protection. I'm going to turn that off because I'm only going to share this within my course anyway, so it's not like it's out there really publicly. So I am going to go to the sharing information. I'm going to show the sharing information. I don't actually want all of this. All I'm going to do right here is just get the link. So I'm just going to highlight it. I'm going to copy just the link. And now I'm going to go back into my course. And again, there's a few ways that we could do this. I could just add it as a link. So I could click the plus sign. I can say add external URL and paste the URL and then put Zoom recording. Probably I'd want to be a little more specific than that, but that'll work for here, and just click add item and then publish it. And then when the students click on, they can actually click the Zoom recording link at the top and play it. As you can see, it's not playing within Canvas, but if they click on this Zoom recording link, it'll open externally and then they can view it. I could also, of course, add the Zoom link to a page. So again, different ways that I could add this recording link to my course. But if I want this recording to be available for longer than 2 weeks, I'm probably going to want to go ahead and download it to my computer to start so that I have a copy. And so over here on the right side, I can click the More option and click Download. And you'll notice that it says 2 files. It's going to download 2 files. It's going to download just an audio file, and then it's going to download an MP4, which is audio and video. So the one that you're really going to be looking for, unless all you really wanted was the audio for whatever reason, most of the time you're going to want that MP4 file. So you could, of course, just upload that file straight to your course, upload it as a file and put it in a module that way. However, I don't recommend that for a couple of reasons. The first is that you only have 1.5 gigs of file space in your course. And when you start uploading videos, that uses up that file space very quickly. The second reason, and I alluded to this a little earlier, is that if you just upload your Zoom recording to your course, there are not going to be captions associated with it. So the way that we always work around this is in e-learning. As you probably noticed, the video that you're watching right now was uploaded to YouTube. And we do that for the file storage space, but we also do that because YouTube automatically provides captions to all of their videos, making the videos ADA compliant. So it really is a great solution to both of those problems, the storage space and the ADA compliance. So I'm just going to quickly demonstrate how you can do that. Now, you will need a YouTube account. We actually started our own YouTube channel for the Camden County College e-learning division. It only takes a minute. If you have a Gmail account, you won't even need to create another username and password. You'll use your Gmail. If you don't have a Gmail account, you'll need to set that up first. Well, once you have your account, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see this little video icon here. You'll click it and you'll click the Upload Video button. You can click here to pull up the files on your computer. And again, I want to look for the MP4 file because I want the video. So that's this one right here. And now I'm uploading this file to YouTube. You can change the title. So this is not a pretty title. I'm going to leave it just because this is not an actual video that I'm concerned about sharing, but you probably would want to put something more descriptive. You also need to put that it is not a video that is made for kids. If you don't do that, it's going to prompt you to select that. And then click next again. And then this is where you can decide how you want to save the video. So do you want it to be private, where only you and people you choose can watch the video? Unlisted, so anyone with the video link can watch your video. If you're concerned you don't want random people watching your video, usually unlisted works well because you're going to share that link only with students or the people that you want to, and it's not going to allow it to be searched, so people aren't going to stumble across it. I make all of ours public because I don't mind if other people watch it. In this case, because this is a fake video that I'm not actually interested in sharing on our channel, I'm just going to put it as private for now, and that way nobody is going to see it. So now I can click save, and it is processing. So depending on how long the video is, it could take a little longer to process. Not usually too terribly long though. And so I can see here now that it is pending. But I'm actually going to move to a video that is already done so that I can show you how to share this in your course. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this video, and I'm going to click this share option here. So when I click share, I want to get the embed code rather than using just the URL. So I'm going to click embed. I'm going to click copy, and it's going to select this embed code here. And now I'm going to go back to my course, and I'm going to pull up a page. Click add page. I'm going to give it a title. If you are in a course that is using the new rich content editor, you're going to want to come over here to this icon that looks kind of like a cloud. Paste the embed code into the field and click submit, and it will embed the video into your page. Then you'll click save and publish. And again, you can just go to your modules and add the recording wherever it is that you need it to go. If you have not turned on the new rich content editor for your course yet, this change is coming up next month, and it will automatically apply to everyone. But if you want to go ahead and turn it on, you can go to your settings in your course, go to feature options, and turn on this RCE enhancements button. And that will bring up that new rich content editor that you just saw. If you're using the old rich content editor, I'll show you quickly how you can put that link in. So I'm going to go to pages. Again, add page. You can see the difference here. In this case, you actually could just get the URL from the video if you're still using the old rich content editor. And you can go back to your page, and you can just click this insert edit media button right here and put the source in there and click OK, and it will put the video in there. But again, this version of the rich content editor is only going to be available through the end of 2020. So it's a good idea to get used to the other one if you're not familiar with it yet. But you still would click save and publish and add it to a module. If you have additional questions or need additional support, in addition to contacting us at the e-learning division, you can also, from your Zoom account, you can actually access a lot of resources. So you can access video tutorials, you can look at the frequently asked questions. There's also support, so if you're having a problem, there's something wrong with your Zoom account, there's guides here, video tutorials, and then you can also contact Zoom support as well. If you need support from Canvas, you can always click the question mark in the lower left-hand corner of your Canvas screen to access the help menu. And you can also contact us at the e-learning division at distancelearning@camdencc.edu.